Look, you just sat through another HR meeting, didn't you? You sat in a windowless conference room, staring at a PowerPoint slide with a clip art mountain on it, while some lady named Brenda told you that if you just set it and forget it, you'll be sipping margaritas on a beach by age 65. You signed the papers because that's what adults do, but deep down, you have absolutely no idea where that money is actually going. You just see that line item on your pay stub every 2 weeks, 200 bucks, 500 bucks, gone. And you hope to God that when you're old and gray, the magic money pile will be there. But here's the thing. The 401k is the only product in the world where you're the primary investor, the primary risk taker, and yet you're the last person to get paid. It's the ultimate Wall Street magic trick. They've convinced an entire generation of workers to hand over their liquid cash for 40 years in exchange for a pinky promise and a tax break that might not even be a break by the time you need it. Let's look at the numbers for a second because the reality is actually pretty staggering. According to the Economic Policy Institute, the median 401k balance for Americans nearing retirement is only about $65,000. Think about that. You work for 40 years, you do everything right, and you end up with enough money to maybe buy a mid-sized SUV and a few years of groceries. Why? Because the system wasn't designed for you to win. It was designed to shift the pension liability away from big corporations and onto your shoulders. Back in the day, the company took the risk. Now, if the market crashes the year before you retire, that's your problem, not theirs. It's like being invited to a high-stakes poker game where you provide all the chips, the house takes a cut of every single hand whether you win or lose, and you aren't allowed to leave the table for 35 years without paying a massive penalty. Think of your 401k like a giant bucket of water you're trying to carry across a desert. The water is your hard-earned savings. Every year, Wall Street dips a tiny little thimble into your bucket and takes a sip. You don't notice it at first, it's just a 1% or 2% fee, right? No big deal. But over 40 years, those thimbles add up to nearly half your bucket. A study by Demos found that an average dual-income household will pay nearly $155,000 in 401k fees over their lifetime. That's not just the cost of doing business. That's a house. That's your kid's college education. That's 5 years of retirement you'll never get back because you were busy subsidizing a fund manager's yacht in the Hamptons. And the worst part? Most people couldn't tell you what their expense ratios are if their life depended on it. Now, I'm not saying you shouldn't invest. Far from it. But you have to understand the game you're playing. The magic of the 401k is the tax-deferred growth, but let's be real. Tax-deferred just means tax postponed. You're betting that your tax rate in 30 years will be lower than it is today. Does anyone honestly believe the government, with our current national debt, is going to be charging less in taxes in the future? Probably not. You're essentially growing a garden so the IRS can take a bigger harvest later. This is why the wealthy don't just set it and forget it. They look for the match, which is the only truly free lunch in finance. If your employer offers a 5% match, that is a 100% return on your money instantly. You take that every single time. But after that match, that's where the magic trick starts to fade. If you're just blindly dumping every extra cent into a target date fund because it sounds safe, you're likely getting fleeced. Those funds are often funds of funds, meaning you're paying layers of fees for someone to essentially do what a simple algorithm could do for free. You need to pull back the curtain. Look at your plan's summary plan description. Look for the low-cost index funds, the ones that track the S&P 500 with fees closer to 0.05% rather than 1.5%. That tiny difference is the difference between retiring at 60 and working until you're 75. Look, the Wall Street magic trick only works because of your apathy. They count on you being too tired after work to read the fine print. They count on you being intimidated by the jargon. But this is your life. This is your time, traded for paper, and you cannot afford to be a passive participant in your own future. Stop treating your 401k like a mystery box, and start treating it like the business it is. Maximize the match, minimize the fees, and for heaven's sake, stop borrowing against it to buy things you don't need. The best time to fix this was 10 years ago. The second best time is right now, before the next thimble comes out of your bucket. Go log into your portal today, check those fees, and take your chips back from the house.